Afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us on this snowy Tuesday. Feel free, we've got quite a lot of people joining us this afternoon, so feel free to pop in the chat, say hello, introduce yourself, as we appreciate if we were doing a face-to-face event, not like it probably would have gone ahead today, but you would have had a chance to network and socialise. So feel free, pop in the chat, say hello, tell us a bit about your business, pop your contact details. You're more than welcome to do all of that. It's just to help us fill the space just while we wait for everyone to join us. Hello from a snowy Coltershire. Also, let us know what it's like where you are. So thank you, Denise. Glad to see you're not far from me, actually. So I'm Sprouston, and we are got a lot of snow. I could build lots of snowman, have lots of snowball fights, recreate, I think it's the elf scene with the snowballs. Love that. So yeah, we'll just give it another minute or two. So feel free to pop in the chat function, say hello, let us know what the weather's like where you are, tell us a bit about your business, pop your contact details in. Hi, Alex. Snowy in Holt as well. Love that. Hope it's not icy or too chilly by the coast. Hi from Norfolk Sports Club. Hi, Emma. Snowy and we can't. Oh my God. Do you know what? I get so excited when I'm at the Norfolk Snow Sports Club and there's fresh snow, because you can go so much quicker on snow, and with tubing as well. I used to volunteer, and you could like hurl people down on the tubes when it was snowing, and you wouldn't have to worry about them stopping kind of midway down. So yeah, maybe we can, no, I'm not going to suggest that. Let's find a hill, social distance, enjoy. I'm not encouraging any naughty behaviour. Hopefully, Emma, when we're back open, there'll be some snow so we can all enjoy it. Hi, Nick. Sorry, I don't have a camera from my home setup. That's fine. You don't need a camera because we can't see you on this one. We can hear you though, or read what you've put in the chat and the Q&A. Hi, Angela from UEA. I work for the Enterprise Centre and Productivity East. Lovely and snowy in Eton. Hi, John from Heavenham. Snowing here as well. Hi, James from the Build Charity. Walked in with snow boots and ice spikes this morning. Wow, that is dedication. Emma, tubing is awesome in the snow and rain. Yes, I can vouch for that, definitely. Maybe we'll sort out a session at the snow park once the weather, once we're open and we can. Let's do some networking and tubing. That sounds like fun to me. Hello, snow melting here on Thorpe Road, Norwich, launching some private offices this week. That's exciting, from Sarah Daniels. Hi, Clive from Fortify 247, Complete IT Services. Right, there's quite a few, and I'm conscious that obviously Emma and Kathy have so much to tell us. So I'm just going to cut my introduction down so you can get started. So hi, my name is Kayleen Harrington from the Norfolk Chambers of Commerce. Recently joined June time. So yeah, I really hope that you're enjoying our virtual program. I'm very excited. Obviously today we're, I say we, nothing to do with me. Kathy and Emma will be going through getting started with email marketing, but I'm also very excited that they've got other sessions that they're delivering with us. So I'll pop the links in the chat. I'm just going to scrap my intro and I'm going to let you know that we will be sharing a copy of the presentation and the recording with you following the event. You will have opportunity to ask questions during the presentation that Kathy and Emma will answer. So without further ado, Kathy, over to you.
Thank you very much, Kayleen, and hello to everybody. And just to throw mine into the mix, yeah, it's beautifully snowy here. I'm up on the West Norfolk coast in Old Hunstanton, and it's absolutely beautiful today. I daren't go out my back door because I can't figure out at the moment where my decking ends and where my path starts, and I know what will happen. I'd end up in A&E in some kind of plaster. So I'm just sitting here in the nice cozy warm and getting really excited to talking to you about email marketing. How sad is that? I will pass over now to my colleague Emma.
Great to be with you all. My name is Emma from a company called 24 Fingers. I'm actually not in Norfolk, I'm in Essex. I feel like I'm morphing day by day into a Norfolk girl, and it's brilliant. Always lovely to be with you at Norfolk Chambers. I always love Kayleen's enthusiastic and positive intros. It really brightens my day. And like Kathy said, really looking forward to helping demystify email marketing and helping you get the best results.
Excellent. So what I'll do is I'll dive into some slides now, and we'll work through the slides. And if you do have any questions, pop them into the chat. And we like to sort of stop at various points during the session so that we can pick up on the questions. So don't feel you have to wait until the end till you pop your question in. And Kayleen acts as our question moderator, so we'll pick up on that as we go through. So I am just going to share my screen. I'm going to find the slides. There they are, and just move that little beast out of the way. Always takes a little while for the computer to respond from the beginning. So we're going today with getting started with email marketing, and I suppose just a little bit of an explanation for you both, because I run my own business here in Norfolk. Emma runs her own business based in Essex. Emma runs a magnificent digital marketing agency called 24 Fingers, and I would recommend that you go and check her out. And I work as a business mentor and trainer, and what's happened over the past couple of years is that, as Emma said, we're sort of morphing into one. As a consequence of that, one of the things that we did last year was that we realised that the sum of our parts in some of the things that we do is greater than our separateness. So we set up something together. So we set up a business where we work in partnership together, and that's called 24 Degrees. So yeah, you can check us out separately, or you can see us as 24 Degrees, and that's how you get in contact with us if you want to have a chat. Okay, I love those photographs. I must say mine was taken on a very good day with brilliant light, but not at the moment like that. So let's start with what email marketing is. And I suppose as a consequence, what email marketing isn't. So I'll say straight away that what email marketing isn't is sending messages via an email to somebody who doesn't want them and isn't expecting them. So if you're thinking about email marketing as a prospecting tool, it's not what I would be using. If I were looking to make connections with somebody doing a particular job in a specific company that I wanted to have a conversation with or set up a meeting with or something like that, I'd be using a tool like LinkedIn to do that. I wouldn't necessarily be using an email marketing tool, and that's what we want to get across here, is that there's a difference between the two things. So if that's the case, then let's think about what email marketing actually is. So it's delivering professional email communications, and we'll show you what we mean by that as we go through, to an audience that's interested in what you've actually got to say to them or what you've got to deliver to them. And if it gets to the point where people aren't interested, you're going to have a fair proportion of people that will unsubscribe from what you're doing. So if they don't find it captivating, if they don't find it's helping answer a question for them. The other thing is that the information needs to be valuable to the recipient. So as with everything in marketing, it's not about you, it's about them. So when you bring that into the email field, the stuff that you're actually sharing with them needs to be something that is going to be of benefit to them, not necessarily telling them about you, what you do and how you do it. The classic one I remember getting something from somebody once where it was just information about, you know, so-and-so had a baby and such had passed their driving test, and yeah, that's nice, but it wasn't really anything that was of massive interest to me, seeing as I didn't even know who those people were anyway. And I think the important thing here is that if you start sending out stuff that they don't find valuable, because a lot of people, well, vast majority of people will be receiving these things on their mobile, and it's much easier to do it on there, is that rather than scrolling down to the bottom of the email and hitting the unsubscribe button, 32% of them will just go to the 3 little dots and mark it as spam. And that's what you don't want to happen, because that's really going to affect you going forward in terms of any kind of email platform that you'll be using to do this from. And I think the other thing is that it needs to look good, and this will become apparent as well as we go forward. So, Emma, anything you want to add in there?
We're going to come on to this, but your stats and your analytics are going to show you how people are consuming your email content, and that's one of my go-to tasks every week, looking at what people are doing with my email. Analytics are your only way of measuring what's good, bad and different. I know we're going to come on to this, so
yeah, absolutely. So basically we're looking for something that looks great in anybody's inbox, that hits the button in terms of what they're interested in and that they want to engage with. So it's about them, not necessarily about you. Okay. The other thing I wanted to do before we go on from here is, when we're talking about email marketing, we're not talking about Outlook or Yahoo or Gmail or any of the communication-based email systems, Office 365, those kinds of things. Those email systems are for you sending a note to somebody saying, would you like to book a meeting, or here's a copy of that report that I promised to send you, or as Kayleen's going to do after this, she'll send you an email with a link to the slides and all that kind of stuff. Okay, that's just that communication piece. We're talking about marketing here, so we're talking about email marketing platforms. Now, I've just put a few logos on there of the thousands of platforms that you've got to choose from out there. Emma's a massive fan of Campaign Monitor. I know that she uses that. I use Active Campaign. If you've got plenty of readies in the bank, you might use Infusionsoft because it's way expensive. I used to do some work for Constant Contact, so they're always soft in my heart. MailChimp and MailerLite are the two that you get quite good service from as freebie if you're starting on this. I'd always opt for MailerLite because you get more options in that. But we're talking about email marketing platforms, so not just your general email out kind of things. Okay, so just to carry on from that, just to demonstrate, this is what we get into our email inbox when we're having a conversation, an email-based conversation. So, and I will say that Emma and I, there are probably about 100 of these a day go backwards and forwards where we're talking about stuff. So this is the kind of thing that we're used to when we're just conversing with people or making arrangements or that kind of stuff. What we're talking about is this kind of thing. It's something that is branded. It's something that is delivering something interesting to the people, and it's adding value to them. Okay, anything to add in there? No. Emma? Okay, so just wanted to get that straight right at the beginning, because I think there's always a misunderstanding. Oh, and one thing I will say here, what a lot of people then attempt to do is they attempt to create something that looks like the image on the right in a platform that sits like the one on the left. So I've seen this hundreds of times before, where people have used, say, their Outlook account to create something like that. The reason people use the platforms, if nothing else, is it retains the formatting. As soon as you try to do that in a general email client, your formatting will go all over the place, and it will be dependent on the recipient's email system as to what they show them and how they show it. So you can't replicate, you can't duplicate. And the worst thing that you can do is actually send somebody an email with a PDF attachment, which is your newsletter, because more often than not, that will just get deleted. And you will, going back to what Emma said, you'll have absolutely no analytics in terms of how that thing has impacted. So, you know, I would just generally say, don't try and get around it, because you won't have the impact that you want it to have. Okay. So, Emma, do you want to talk about the types of emails that we might send out?
Yeah, absolutely. So not all emails are created equal, and not all emails need to sell. We use emails in a variety of ways, sometimes to update our audience, sometimes to convince our prospects, sometimes to tell everybody and anybody what we're up to in the business. Most of the email service providers are going to have different templates to fulfill those functions. So in my business, I've got one newsletter template. So that's where I share articles and blogs. And then I've got more of a salesy email where I push specific events. So I'm using something like the middle template. So do start thinking when you're planning what email marketing you're doing, what am I trying to do? What's my end objective? And then have a template that suits that criteria.
Yeah, and I think that this is where it then starts getting into marketing, because with marketing, you need to have an understanding of what you want your outcome to be before you actually start doing whatever it is that you're doing to make the outcome happen. And so when you bring email into the mix, you need to consider, am I contacting people because they've expressed an interest in something, so I'm following up with them on that interest? Or am I just sending information out to people that have expressed an interest in my business as a whole? So you really have to consider what you want as an outcome. And we will talk about things to do with branding. You know, they need to look like your company, basically. But you have to think about what's the outcome of this? What is it that I want it to do? And not all of your emails will be exactly the same.
We just had a great question here to say, we currently send internal newsletters and use Outlook. Would you suggest that we move to a marketing platform? Personally, for me, if it's internal, then Outlook is absolutely fine if you're not tracking opens and I'm sure deliverability isn't an issue because it's an internal system. So for me, I don't think you need to move to an ESP. As soon as you start sending external, then I would highly recommend using the platforms. We had another question in around MailerLite, which is one of Kathy's preferred platforms, to say, we know that MailerLite is free, but does it have more options than MailChimp?
Yeah.
The lady currently uses MailChimp. I'm personally not a MailChimp fan either. Every time I've used it, it's been limited in terms of the amount of segmentation and audience building I can do, and I just can't seem to do what I want to do. Always asking me to upgrade. So Kathy, over to your MailerLite, if that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I do like MailerLite is that you can have fewer people, so it's 1,000 in terms of where you hit the limit in terms of members, whereas on MailChimp they say it's 2,500. It isn't 2,500 warm bodies, by the way, it's 2,500 people spread across a variety of spaces. So if somebody's on there 5 times, they're counted as, or they do 5 things, they're counted as 5 people. So that's just something to bear in mind. I'm totally here with Emma. For me, MailChimp is really restrictive in what you can do. With MailerLite, you can do multiple automation systems, you can have multiple lists, you can do multiple segmentation as well. So you get what you pay for in the freebie ones. So with both of them, you have to spend a little bit of time in sort of maybe creating your own template, but that's not a bad thing because it will look like your business anyway.
Question, is MailerLite EU based or are they American?
The vast majority of these systems are US,
yeah.
So I believe that MailerLite is American as well. Okay, but generally, and we'll come on to this in a little while as well, the whole business around GDPR and various things like that have been taken into account in these systems. Okay, so that's one of the key things. The other thing I'll just throw in there about the internal email, and Emma touched on it. Having been somebody who worked in large corporates and things in the past, if you want to make sure that people have read something that you've sent And if you want to make sure that people have clicked on something within that thing you want them to read, you can do that with an email service provider. If you just want to send it out for information, absolutely fine. But if you want to do any tracking, that's when you use an email service provider. Okay. So I love stats. And here's some statistics for you. So the question always is, why email? Because we've got all these bright, spangly, shiny things, haven't we, at the moment? We've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we've got LinkedIn, all of those kinds of things. I think what you've got to think about in terms of your marketing collateral is that you're not going to do everything in one space. You need to sort of spread things out a little bit more. And I think with email, one of the key things is that you're in control of your list, and in certain essence, you're in control of the people who receive your message. That cannot be said on any of the other platforms, because their algorithms decide where your stuff is going to go. So that is just something to bear in mind. Email. So email, people forget it's the first social media. You know, I'm probably old enough to remember when people used to wait a week or a fortnight to get a response to a letter. Now, if you haven't answered an email within 15 minutes, you get one saying, did you get my email? And then you probably get a WhatsApp message as well.
And a Facebook message.
Yeah, absolutely. And a bit of a phone call maybe. But people trust email. You know, it's been around for a long time, and it's become just matter of course. You know, people use it, and people actually like it as a way of getting communication, because again, it's a good way of perhaps keeping things to hand that you want to refer to later on. Whereas again, if it's like a social post, you might have to go off and hunt for it somewhere. Oh God, what day was it that was posted, and all of that kind of stuff. But people do like to get emails. Yeah, I'm tracking the delivery of some packages at the moment, and it's really nice that DHL is keeping me up to date with the delivery stuff that's going on. So, you know, I like that kind of stuff. So a lot of people like getting email. Okay. How many emails have you got in your inbox, Emma?
Not saying.
Right. People read it. They do read it. The vast majority of them are using their phones to do this. So what you're actually getting is this sort of nearly 90% of people are interacting with their email on their phone. They may interact with it on a desktop as well. But I know, for example, and I can't be unique in that way, when I'm having my breakfast in the morning, the first thing I'm doing is flicking through emails to see what may have come in overnight and things like that. And if there's anything I can deal with straight away. So that's the kind of thing we need to remember. People are carrying our emails around in their pockets. And that most people check their email daily. And if you're in business, you probably check it multiple times per day. So, you know, it is actually getting them. People will check email far more than they'll check social sites. Okay. It's reliable. It does get delivered most of the time. The only time it doesn't really get through is sometimes if people on the other end, their mailbox is full. Maybe they've left their job or they've changed their email address. Sometimes there's an out of office. If somebody puts an out of office on, it quite often bounces back. But, you know, the vast majority of your emails are going to get to the people that said that they want to receive them. Whereas Facebook, you're lucky if it gets in front of 1% of the people who've said they like you. And, you know, that's quite an indictment. And for me, you know, there's a massive conversion. If you start putting much more of an automated side of things into it, and what I'd call like a full marketing element into it, and we'll come into that in a little while later, is that it's got a much higher conversion rate than anything else in terms of that social space. Okay. Anything to add in there, Emma?
No, all good. We've had some great questions about how to construct emails, but we're going to come on to that in the next couple of slides. But yeah, really, really impressive stats, and I think social media is seen as the sexy way to communicate, but don't forget email. I get huge amounts of traction on our email every single week. We send out ours on a Friday, and we'll come on to opens and clicks, but we're getting 20, 30, 40% opens, 20, 30, 40% clicks on email, in a way that social media, you have to work very, very hard to get the same equivalent, or you have to apply paid spend on social to get the same results.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the question we always get asked. Yeah, but how do you get people onto your list? And there's one thing that you have to do. You have to ask them to join. And so you need to ask people whether they want to be communicated to from you. And I think that this is sometimes, they won't appear as if by magic. And I'm going to throw in here, and we will reiterate this, you do not put them on there. No buying of lists. No, just because they're in your contacts on your phone or whatever, they can't just automatically go in there. That is illegal. Basically, your list gets built organically by people who say that they want to be there, and you get them on there by asking them whether they want to be there. Okay, and I think that if you have a look at, these are just some of the things that we brainstormed in terms of where you might ask them to, if they want to. So on your website, most websites now come with a little box somewhere that says sign up here. One thing I'll say about that box is, please don't say sign up for my newsletter, because people don't sign up for newsletters, but they do sign up for hints and tips. They sign up for toolkits. They sign up for those things that are going to help them achieve what it is that they want to achieve. So sign up for my newsletter. You might get one or two, but if you were to sign up for nutritional tips, a weekly recipe, your social media, weekly social media insights, anything like that, that's the kind of thing that you will get. Emma, free downloads, I'll pass that over to you.
Okay, so some of you on the call today will receive regular stuff from my company 24 Fingers. A few years ago, we introduced a policy of giving value. So rather than ask somebody to pay for our advice, we give out lots of tips and tricks and hacks. And we send out those via lead magnets, so typically they're ebooks, and that could be stuff like how to know how often to post on social media, how to decide what social media platforms are right for your business. So we've got about 25 of these ebooks that get promoted across social and email every week, every month. And by using that strategy, we've doubled our mailing list from the beginning of lockdown to now. So every single day I'll get people popping into my email box that said, so-and-so subscribe to that list, or so-and-so has subscribed to that ebook. And that's such a consistent plan for me, because that means that they're subscribed, that they've given me permission. I can now market to them. They get my Friday afternoon newsletters, and then I can talk to them. I can phone them up and see if I can help in any way. And out of all of the marketing activities that I do, I think the lead magnets, free downloads, has been the most consistent one in terms of ROI.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'd go with that 100%. You'll get people that will download it and unsubscribe straight away. It's absolutely fine. They'd probably never buy from you anyway. They just wanted a freebie. That's fine, but there is a proportion of people that will stay. But there are other things like, your top paying clients. You might contact them and say, if you want to keep up to date with things that might be of value to you, you can join here. One of the things that happens quite often, if you run any events, say, and you use something like Eventbrite, you can collect things that way, and you can ask people whether they'd be interested in hearing about more events coming up. If you have any forms that go out to people, or if there are things like evaluation sheets, you can always say, do you want to know more about this? This is how you can get it. You can pop things on your invoices. You can have a link in your email signature. If you've got a point of sale that is open at the moment, but soon we hope. Same with things like A-boards outside businesses and those kinds of things. So if there's a place, use that place to ask somebody, would you like to get regular information about this from us? And a proportion of people will say no, but another proportion will say, yeah, that would be great. And so that's how you build your list. So it starts from zero generally, but it becomes exponential. And as Emma said, I think your list was about 1,500 this time last year. It's about 3,000 now, isn't it? So, this is what happens. You can actually increase by putting strategies into place.
So we've had a question from Kay who says, if I've got a list of clients, can I send out a bulk initial email to ask them to subscribe to hear from us? So because they're clients, if they're working with you, then you've got what's called legitimate interest. So that means that you can email them and you don't actually have to ask them permission. If you had a cold list of people that you'd worked with 10 years ago, and you hadn't worked with them recently, I'd do what's called a resubscribe campaign. So I'd send them an email to say, look, we'd like to communicate with you regularly. Subscribe in exchange for £5 discount offer, just to get your permissions current and up to date. I had a client that did that, and they didn't convert everybody, but they certainly converted enough people to build their list. And what about clients that left? I would do the email that says, sorry that you've left. If ever you wanted to opt back in, we've got some special exclusive offers for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are, not to over egg the pudding because we haven't got time to go into it today, but there are automations that you can build into your email system that allow, they have like an if this then that logic behind. So for example, you might have something that if somebody unsubscribes, it just triggers something that sends to them to say, sorry to see you go. If you ever want to come back, welcome with open arms, that kind of thing. So there are ways to do it. But the basic thing is, and I generally about once a year go out to my whole list anyway and say, do you really all want to be here? Because if people don't want to receive stuff from me, then I'm more than happy for them to go and find information elsewhere.
I'm going to answer Kate's email. Hi, Kate. Would you recommend double opt-in? We're currently using it. So for me personally, double opt-in is brilliant and best practice, but what you tend to find is that the drop-off between people opting in and then remembering to click for a second time is really, really, really high. So we use single opt-in purely because I've got big growth targets, and I 100% know that if we switch double opt-in, my email list would not be growing at the rate it is.
Yeah, and I find that sometimes with the double opt-in, because the double opt-in means they get an email and they have to then go over and act on that email, is that sometimes that ends up in their spam or their junk folder and they can't find it, and it just all gets really, really messy. So I use single. Sorry?
Yeah, you're single as well, aren't you?
I use single, yeah, absolutely. But I make it really clear in everything that I say, if you don't want to get any more, go and hit the unsubscribe button, because I'd much rather they did that than anything else.
Can I just give you an example of somebody that didn't get permission? So I started working with a client who had a massive triple figure email subscription list that they didn't really have permissions for. So they said, well, we're going to upload it into Campaign Monitor and we're going to send out 50,000 emails and we'll see what happens. And I said, well, not sure you want to do that because you haven't got permission. This is a really, really, really cold list. And I think very, very carefully, they bought the list. So they'd gone out to one of these list brokers and bought based on job title. And I said, I really think that's a bad move because you'll get a black mark against your name with Campaign Monitor. So what they did was they then split the list in half and used half on MailChimp and half on Campaign Monitor. And what they didn't realise is all these ESPs share knowledge, so they knew that they were spamming on MailChimp. So therefore, when they sent their campaign out on Campaign Monitor, that same bad reputation followed them, and the deliverability went to like 50%. So don't think that, I'm sure nobody would, but don't think you can circumnavigate the system, because knowledge is shared kind of world over. And once you've got a black mark against your name on this ESP, it's really hard and time consuming to get it back. We've now, for that particular client, once they agreed with me to do it properly, we've now got deliverability of like 99.9%, which is fantastic when we send out 25,000 emails a month, and they get there really brilliantly. But that beginning bit in terms of permission, really, really crucial. And nowadays, you know, people are so aware of where their data is being used. It's just best not to risk it, because you risk damaging the relationship before you've even started.
Absolutely, yeah, all above board, all, you know, top level stuff. And that takes us into this. So, you know, legal compliance is crucial. So you cannot just add people just because, and, you know, we've known it ourselves. We've been to a networking event, and we've got back from a networking event, and there's like 10 emails where we've been stuck on a system, and we've got stuff from people that we might have wanted to keep in contact with, but not 100%. So, you know, you need to make sure that you get that express consent. The other thing I think, and this comes back into what Emma was saying, is that when people do get things from you, and particularly when they're new on your list, tell them what to expect. So one of the key things that you can build into your email system is what I call a welcome series. So it's a short series of emails that triggers as soon as somebody comes into your email list, and it says, thank you very much, I really appreciate you being here. I'm going to send you a couple more emails over the next 10 days, and then you'll be into my regular cycle. I post out this often, these days of the week, this is the kind of stuff I cover. So you can actually sort of nurture them through that process. That works really, really well. They have to be able to opt out. So unsubscribe needs to be there. And you will see emails coming through, I'm sure you have, because I know I get them all of the time, where it says, oh, if you want to unsubscribe from this, you have to go in and log in over here, and you have to do such and such and such. No, you need a nice big button. And the top level email service providers, they actually build that into their email templates. So there's no problem about it. It sits there. And I always say to people, if you want to unsubscribe, I'll be sorry to see you go, but it's your decision. You know, that's fine. And the other thing is that this is your list. It should not be shared with anybody. I mean, Emma and I said we run our own businesses and we do some work together. If we're sending stuff out, even though we work together, if we're sending stuff out on our own list, we do not share across, because people have come to me or people have come to Emma. It's not cross-fertilization at all. So, you know, it's very much, if somebody decides to come onto my list, 100% privacy guaranteed. Okay. Anything there, Emma?
Like what you said.
Excellent. So let's think a little bit about design, because there are some things to consider. As Emma said, the email service providers provide templates that you can choose from, and or they'll provide you something blank, and usually they've now got like what's called a drag and drop system. So I want an image to go here, I want a headline to go here, I want my logo to go there, that kind of thing. So you can actually build your own. So there are a few things to think about the design that make it appear well in people's inboxes, because we're battling with all of that other information going into their inbox. So the first thing is your use of fonts, colors, images, language, that kind of stuff. So whatever you're using on your website or on your other marketing collateral, the way your email appears should be as similar to that as possible. So if you've got a certain color palette that you're using, that needs to be replicated in the emails that you send out. If you use certain types of images in what you do, that definitely needs to be replicated there. Couple of really practical things. If you're using a logo, please make sure it's either in the center or on the left hand side of the email. And that's a really practical thing, because you know most people view an email with the preview pane. If you put the logo on the right hand side, it's the right hand side of the email that gets cut off. So if they know you and they know your logo, if it's in the middle or on the left hand side of the email, they'll know it's from you straight away. And if you can, in that top level area, include something that has the name of your company. So if your logo doesn't have your company name in, because some don't, then put your company name in there if you possibly can. A bit like that image there that says Hanson Apparel, you know, we know it's from them. So we would know whether that would be a company that we're interested in and we want to open up their stuff. Okay. Make them take action. You are not just sending stuff out just for the blah, blah, blah sake of things, okay? You're doing this because you want people to do something in return. Marketing is a push and a pull activity. You push something out in order to pull people back through an action. And that's part of what your email should do. So every image that you put into your email should have a clickable link set behind it, and all of the email service providers allow you to do that. They usually have a little box where you can put the URL in. So if you're saying that you're running a course, you might put some details of the course, you might put a button that's clickable. If there's an image for that course, that URL goes behind that image as well, because people are used to pictures being links. Keep all of your valuable information right at the top. Don't make people scroll down, because they're incredibly lazy. And if it's not right front and center, you probably won't get them to take action. So anything you need them to do should be above what they call above the scroll line. If you look at that picture there of the cupcake macaroons, which to me, the thought of that amount of sugar is making me go a little bit shaky as it is. But you can see that, can you see that big pink button? All right, I don't have to go anywhere to see that pink button. It's right in front of me, and you know, I cannot help but press it. Limited choices. Do not send out an email with loads and loads and loads. Go here, go there, do this, do this. It's better to have more emails with fewer things to do than it is to have one big one. A lot of people send an email out perhaps once a month, with loads and loads and loads and loads of stuff in. If that were the case, I'd be saying send it out weekly and have less in there, because you confuse people. Make the call to action a button and make it bright. So don't hide it, and less is more. So I would tend to say maximum 20 lines of text and a picture. That's really all it should be. So I went from doing a monthly email to a weekly email simply because it just got to be too much. There was too much for people to absorb, and you get far more impact that way. Anything to add in there, Emma?
No, I want to talk about content, and I think that's the next slide, I think, okay. From memory.
Visuals, yes. Pictures. People love pictures. And actually, email service providers do allow you to put video actually into the emails as well. So if you do videos regularly, if you maybe have got a podcast and you want to put a snippet of video in there to get people to come and listen, or even if you just want to highlight the fact that you might be doing a training course or something, you could give them a little taster in a video. It's really, really nice, where people will engage with that content rather than just this flat text. So you need to make it interesting for them. It needs to stand out in their inbox. And this is the thing you need to think about, okay? That you might put it together on a desktop, but you need to consider that the vast majority of people will be using it on a mobile phone. So you always design for mobile first. And what the email service providers often do is they'll allow you to send a test copy of the email before you set it up for scheduling or anything like that. And it's amazing how something you don't see on the desktop, as soon as it comes into the mobile device, you think, oh God, I spelt that word wrong, or that's in the wrong place. And it allows you to go back in and make it as perfect as possible. Okay. Is this where you wanted to pick up on some stuff, Emma?
Yeah, kind of. So I just wanted to give you another anecdote. I used to do these really clever emails once a week. A few years ago, I used to take best of social media, and I used to make them really witty and really funny, and we'd trawl through what happened on Twitter that week and come up with these really brilliant puns. And we internally thought they were the best things since sliced bread. My stats showed me opposite. They were really, really boring, because what they didn't do was solve a problem. They didn't help business owners. It was all very well listening to what Trump, or reading what Trump had said, or what the funniest thing that Cadbury's did that week, but actually it didn't help. So we switched our content back to, how do I get more followers? How do I get more shares? How do I get more engagement? How do I even start on social media? How do I plan my social media? Really practical tips. And since we did that, our open rates soared.
Yeah, and I think, again, going back to marketing, if this is sitting within a marketing context, everything we do in marketing is about solving a problem that our customers have. And the word problem, you know, it sounds more grandiose sometimes than it is. It just be that they need to know something. So when we're creating these things, it's very much about answering. So yeah, and I might laugh at something that Emma would write, because we're joined at the hip. But actually, what I want to know is, should I be using this hashtag or not on Instagram? Because that will help solve my problem. So you need to think about your business and the issues that people come to you with. And then you can use email as part of the solution, where you help them understand that. And it helps to pinpoint your expertise, so you become the go-to person for that thing. Okay. So getting them opened. I don't know how many emails you get every day, but sometimes I just think, oh my gosh, what's going on here? So the battle of the inbox, we need to make sure that we do some things to make our emails stand out, and also encourage people to open them. So number one, who the email is from. Make sure that you use the from name that they know. So if they know you as Fred Blogs, then the sender should be Fred Blogs. If they know you as Acme Incorporated, then the email should be from Acme Incorporated. If your business has got a really long name, do not create an acronym out of it. I spent 6 months getting emails from a client, not realizing they were from her, because she had a really long business name and she'd created an acronym out of it. And she said, "You're never opening any of my emails." And I said, "You're not sending any." "Oh, it's those weird ones I'm getting from that blah, blah, whatever the acronym was." So make sure it's something that they're actually going to recognize. Your subject line is really quite crucial. It should be short, because it needs to fit in that inbox window. Okay, you don't want something to fall off the end. So you're looking at between 30 and 50 characters, 5 to 8 words. I'd say I'd err towards the 5 rather than 8. And with all the email service providers as well, there's a thing called the pre-header text that sits just underneath the subject line in the inbox. You can actually control that. You can write something in there, again, that's a little bit more catchy. So if you don't put something in that area in the email service provider, it just picks up the first line of the email, which might not be appropriate. Okay, so those things make a really important impact. Then the time and day. Okay, now this is something that happens over time. You're not going to come up with the optimum day and the optimum time the first time round. What you need to do is a bit of testing and measuring. So if you're getting started, choose a day and choose a time of day and start sending emails out. And then what you do is you see what response you're getting. And then what you can do is you can do this thing called A/B testing, where you sort of split your list in half. And this is where you might change. One half gets the same day, same time as always. The other half gets a different day. Same time, but a different day. See whether the day makes a difference. And then you might do exactly the same and see change the element that is time. and see whether the time of day makes a difference. But you can only do this by testing and measuring over a period of time. You can't say, I'm a restaurant, therefore Thursdays at 4 o'clock are going to be right for me. It doesn't work that way. So anything to add in there, Emma?
We've had some great questions. I think I'll answer those if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Someone asked, her newsletter is for volunteers. Should she be sending smaller emails rather than one every 6 weeks? So I just checked with Simone, and she's got 5 topics in one newsletter. So for me personally, I think one is fine. I'd maybe increase the frequency to once a month, 6 weeks, because I think 6 weeks might be easy for people to lose momentum with 6 weeks. But I think one with 5 articles is absolutely fine. And I think at the moment, volunteering, there's so much great stuff happening in the country that you want to keep your volunteers motivated to keep going, because, you know, it's been a long, hard slog for everybody. So the more frequent you communicate with them, I think the better. I hope that answers that. And then Nigel asked, do we have stats on the percentage of B2B emails that get opened on mobile and percentage for B2C? And I was going to offer actually a service, something that we do in my business. I can tell you what percentages you should be aiming for per sector and per industry. So I know, for example, that in media, I need to be hitting the 20% open mark. If anybody wants to get what the industry average is for their own sector, drop me an email and Kayleen will share our details after, and I'll happily benchmark what yours are and what you should be reaching. So I hope that helps. And Nigel's second question was, he views all emails on a PC with a preview window. Does that mark them as opened in terms of the stats? And yes, it does. Yeah, sorry, Nigel, it does. So that does count as an open, even if somebody hasn't physically pressed the return open button. And the same on Gmail. Simone, should do it every month, but it's fitting it in as a tough. I know. Kathy and I've got some ways that we help our clients repurpose content so the task doesn't seem too overwhelming or onerous. So do grab us after if you want some help on that. I do mine weekly. I know Kathy does our weekly, and we've really carved out a routine and system to make that happen fairly automatically. But I do appreciate that, especially right now, it is tough to fit everything in.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I would throw in there for Nigel as well is that your email service provider stats, so the analytics they give you, will more often than not say that X number of % of these were opened on a mobile device, whichever campaign you're sending out. This number of % was on a mobile device, this number of % was on a desktop as well. So you'll get that within for each email that you send out. So that is there as well. So for me and Emma, the numbers tell you everything. That's what you should be looking at. Is it working?
A couple more questions. Sue says she's got an agency and she'd like to contact other companies to help them. Their email is on their website. Do I need their permission to contact them first? So public information, isn't it? If it's
yes, it is. But this goes back to if they have an email, so info at, hello at, inquiries at, it's going to go nowhere because it's just going to go into some general melee space that it will probably be deleted because it will be seen as just another company trying to get in contact with us to try and get our stuff in front of them. So if I were attempting to make connections with a particular company, I would probably do that through building relationships with people in that company through something like LinkedIn, not just by a blanket email out to people, because that's not going to do it. So yeah, it's about the relationship building stuff as much as possible. And what you can do, which might be like a bite type thing, if you think about what Emma was saying about the lead magnet, so the idea about the freebie giveaway where people then come along. So you could actually be doing some targeted stuff in other places. So in other social platforms saying, look, I've got this thing, if you'd like a copy of it, download it. That would be a way for people then to self-select as to whether they're interested in what it is that you've actually got to offer and getting them in a bona fide way onto your list. Okay, so yeah, public info, it is out there, you know, and people can go and find my email address on my website, and they do, and generally I end up with a load of spam in my inbox, which then gets reported as spam. So that's the measure you have to go by.
Emma asks, MailChimp suggests good time to send email communication. I presume this is reliable. So they've done their own research very broadly. I would suggest and echo what Kathy said, look at your own campaigns. In Campaign Monitor, for example, I can see when people open, I can see how, I think up to 3 days, what the peak hours are. So if possible, try and work that data out for your own campaigns rather than rely on theirs, because typically we find this research fairly American driven and perhaps not as targeted to UK small business as we'd like.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say. Most of their stats are based on research in the United States. So it will have that bias towards it. And it will be so global. They'll say, oh, restaurants, it's a good idea to post out of this, or Pilates teachers, it's a good, but that is just such a generalization. It might be a good place to start, but then you do your own testing to see how it works. Okay.
Same as social, actually, you know, loads of people go, you know, 9 o'clock on a Wednesday is the best time to post on social. It might be for one business, but it might not be for the business down the road.
Yeah, you won't get me at 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't start at 10.
I've already done a day's work by 9.
I know. and so that takes us onto this thing that all of the platforms will give you. You'll know how many times the same person opened that email, what they clicked on when they went in there. So you've got this whole picture of what's happening. And this thing here, going back to what Nigel said, opens a vanity, because an email can be marked as open by just being viewed in a preview window. Okay. The click through is your sanity thing. Your click through is your measurement of actual activity. So this is why you don't want to over confuse people with too many options. You want to make sure that you're taking them on the journey that email is intended for. So you need to use those stats in the system to help you find the right day, find the right time, find the right content. You know, if you're sending something out and you get a large click through, and then you send something else out and the click through is minimal, what's the difference between those two things? What was the content? What did it look like? This is exactly the same across all social platforms, to be honest, but you need to look at your stats. Anything else in there, Emma?
No. Any
more questions or anything from anyone?
So Sue says, my business is a B&B agency. Our policy is to encourage potential guests to book direct rather than use bookings.com, pay commission. I'm trying really hard to develop our website and reach out to many B&Bs as possible. How shall I do this? So immediately I've got an idea for you in terms of how you target those decision makers. Personally, I would do a really targeted social campaign, and then you can include email marketing in the mix once you've got them opted in. Happy to have a strategy session with Kathy to give you some more ideas on that. I'll pop our details into chat.
Absolutely. And so we mentioned automation. Email marketing becomes marketing once you start putting automated things in there so that things happen while you're not looking. So the idea of having this freebie giveaway, this lead magnet, you know, I get ping, 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 ping during the day, as does Emma, because I've got various things out in different places that people are finding of interest, and they're coming into my mailing list. They then get an automated email back with the delivery of the item, plus often some subsequent information to help them go through things. So you do really need to think about the automation side. This is one of the reasons why MailChimp isn't my favorite, because in the freebie version, they only give you one automation, whereas actually to run it properly, you need a variety of automated processes. So kinds of things, as I said, a welcome series of emails. Thanks so much for joining my list. Oh, here's the lead magnet that you wanted. Is there anything else I can help you with that? You know, here's a couple of hints and tips you might have missed out if you haven't used the lead magnet yet. Or here's a blog I wrote on that topic. Okay, so you can actually start to send them things, and you can start to get them into that cycle of getting communication from you, so that it becomes the norm. Okay, so that's and this is all about you. This is all about you building relationship with people you don't know yet. So that's part of what we're doing. Anything in there, Emma?
You touched on a really good point. I get really excited when I see people opt into my stuff that isn't my family or friends. Like, oh, a stranger from another country that I don't know. And that always makes me feel good. And Vicky's just said that she gets really excited when she sees that her email marketing is broken, the 30% open rate, and she's got a double-figure click rate. It's the little things. And yet 100% agree, it's the little wins, especially right now. We all need those little wins.
Absolutely. So I think you know, that's a crucial aspect there. I did put this lead magnet together a little while ago, and I know Kayleen's going to include the link in the email that goes out after this. So, but it's just some ideas, some thoughts about how to get going. So, more than welcome to get yourselves a copy of that if you want one. And I'll reiterate what Emma said. If there's anything that we've said that you think, oh, I need to know a little bit more about that, more than happy to have a quick chat with anybody. So, you know, you can just get in contact with us and we can talk you through a few things. So do feel free to do that. Are there any other questions? Anything else from anybody, or have we stunned you all into, oh my gosh, all of these things I've got to do? I think something.
Thank you, Alex.
Right. I'll just let you know we've got a couple of things coming up in the next couple of weeks. Actually, we've got something coming up this week, I just realised. So anybody who's interested in Pinterest, we're doing a session on Pinterest on Thursday, and then at the beginning of March, we're doing something on Facebook. So these links will be in the slides that Kayleen sends through to you. So don't worry that you have to write them and get all of those numbers correct. I'll stop sharing there now and just see whether there are any last questions that we need to answer, or anything, any comments that people have got.
So Janet asked, how long do we spend daily on all of this? Well, we could spend 24 hours a day, but for me personally, I spend 2 hours a week for my social posts for the whole week, and we post across 5 channels, so I can get that done in 2 hours. And then I spend about an hour writing my newsletter for the week. Kathy, same for you?
Yeah, you see, my newsletter is based on my blog, and so actually the blog is the thing that takes a little bit of time. The newsletter, because I use a template and I'm just swapping things in and out, that probably takes me about 25 minutes. I will say, you know, the initial thing, the setup, as with everything, the setup takes a little bit of time, and it's worthwhile thinking about, as I said, what you want as an outcome, because that will inform what the setup should be. But once you've done the setup, it takes care of itself as you're going forward. So if you create a series of welcome emails for somebody who joins your list, it'll take you a little while to create the content, put the emails together, etc. But once you've done it, and that can just go on ad infinitum, you know. I only update mine about once a year, so you know, once it's done, it's done. So everything takes a little bit of time, but it doesn't have to take all of your time. Okay, so that's it.
That's it. That's it from us.
It's given people some ideas.
Thanks, Sophie. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. As always, I love your sessions. We've got, I think, 3 or 4 more together, which I'm really excited about. So I didn't want to put them in the chat and distract you, so I'm going to include them in the post-event email. So I'll put a list, and you'll also have the 2 that Kathy kindly shared as well. So yeah, just to say thank you so much. I don't know about you, but it's snowing again where I am. So enjoy the rest of your day. Keep safe, not only with the virus, but with the snow as well. So yeah, thank you. Hope to see you again soon. And I think a lot of us will be updating our email marketing following this. Do you want a final goodbye before we leave?
Yeah, Emma, first.
I'm just replying to chat. I'm busy. So I've just seen one of my friends on chat. I didn't realise that Joe was here. Hello, Joe. Lovely to see another Essex girl on the call. I know we've covered quite a lot in an hour there. So if you want us to go any deeper, grab one of Kathy and I's free discovery call sessions where we'll take you through and share more kind of top tips, but tailor it for your business, which is good for us because there's only so much we can cover in these sessions, and we do really like to give more practical, tangible advice on a per business basis. So do grab one of those, and Kayleen will share the details.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks very much, Kayleen and the Chamber, for asking us to come along. And we're looking forward to the other sessions that are coming up in the next few months. So yeah, hopefully we'll see some of those people that are here today on those as well. So we'll be really chuffed if you can join us.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry, I was trying to go through the questions.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, everyone, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.